Our next topic is radio buttons. Now on the surface they'd seem not much different than checkboxes, except for their shape and the fact that instead of a square with a shape of a check mark in it, instead you have something round that's either filled or unfilled when you click on it. However, there is a special important difference between checkboxes and radio buttons, and that is that when they are grouped together, then they behave a little bit differently than checkboxes would have. In fact, you don't really group checkboxes together the same way you do radio buttons. But when you have a bunch of checkboxes, you can usually independently check or uncheck whichever ones you feel. Radio buttons are supposed to be organized in groups such that you can only check one of the available radio buttons. So in other words, if you put 3 or 4 radio buttons in a group, then normally that implies that when you click one of them and it fills in and turns black or whatever from its normal white or unfilled state, what that means is you've selected that and unselected all of the other associated or grouped radio buttons. So in other words, you're choosing a single item from whatever items are available through those radio buttons. To get this to happen, and we call it mutual exclusion, in other words, only one can be selected at a time. To do that, you need to group them together in something called a toggle group in order for this to happen. Here's the UML diagram for your reference for a radio button. Note the two constructors. We can create an empty radio button, or we can create a radio button that has a string of text associated with it. Now we're going to demonstrate radio buttons in the IDE, and if you haven't already guessed, we're going to do it by extending the previous demo, which was already an extension of the demo before that. So we're going to be reusing that code quite a bit.